any of us, every single privileged person in this room could be in this situation.
I think like I've really understood how complicated it is. Like I think we can have biases when we think about like people in prison, but it's so complex. I was thinking about this with Kelsey, like being in prison actually saved her life. It sort of helped her to get her life back, but for other people like Orla, like it's literal hell. Like you come into prison with everything, a life, kids, a job, and then you leave with really none of that.
We had a scene where you say like to Orla, like some of the best people you meet.
The nicest people you ever meet are in prison, yeah. First time in prison?
Yeah.
It's getting to you.
Yeah.
You'll be okay. Some of the nicest people you'll ever meet are in prison.
And also coming from your character and particularly because, you know, someone in your position would have experienced the best and worst of everyone from not a neutral stance, but a stance that isn't there to judge. So
yeah, judgmental things, and that's the word. It's really like just take away judgment and prejudgments of people in prison.
You've transferred from Birchway Prison?
Yeah.
Right, next.
Any good?
For 3.5 years it was utter shit. Then it got a little bit worse.
For me, the research was quite alarming. The biggest thing that stood out to me was the sort of intersection between childhood trauma, people in the family who've offended before, DV survivors, sexual abuse, poverty, and mental health issues. I was quite shocked that there's not much focus on care, especially around mental health, and families as well. I think prison decimates a lot of community. As society, people in general, I think we need to deal with the root cause rather than the symptoms of things.
I suppose hopefully humanises a situation that any of us could be in.
This your first time in prison?
Yeah, can I explain my situation?
Yeah.
I fiddled the lecky, but everyone said you don't get sent to prison for that. So
You don't?
Aggravating factors, they said. So I didn't tell anyone I was in court.
Well, I just felt very honoured to be asked to come back to do another series of it because I'd had such a great time. Sounds wrong, that, doesn't it? It always sounds wrong with this subject matter to say I had a great time. I'd very much enjoyed doing the first series, but when I started reading these scripts, I mean, I think they're genius, they're brilliant, and they're raw. They just get hold of you and then don't want to let you go.
It was one of our really long days, and it was basically the whole day I was getting my baby taken off of me. Between the moment of action and cut, it's real. This isn't actually happening to me, Bella, but like the trauma that I'm creating in my body and in my mind to feel it, like that's real. The lines get blurry. Your body almost doesn't know the difference between like real trauma and like induced trauma. So yeah, it was like that was a crazy day for me.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because we are good at like having that right. I'm just going to be a bit hyperactive now because I just need to shake it off a bit. But the physical thing of shaking and crying or getting yourself into a very heightened state, it stays within you.
One thing that got me a couple of days ago was a character, it was Lou, when she gets a card from her son, and opening a card and it just said, "Thinking of you, Stephen." And then she said, what did she say? "I've done a deal with God. It's because I did a deal with God, so I'll see you at Mass on Sunday." And it just really hit me, oh my God, she'd been praying. And it's like you never see her, obviously in the script, you never see her praying. But the reality is that in that character's private moment, she's asking God to hear from her child, which means she hasn't for a very long time. And like, that just really touched me, like the amount of people that are so disconnected from the people that they love and maybe never hear from them. Again, was one of these things that, like, yeah, the fiction of it is painful enough, but the reality of that must be insurmountable sometimes.